Hey, welcome to Michiana Outdoor News. I'm Kevin VanDam, and we're down here at the Strike King Writers meeting, and I wanted to show you today something that I think is pretty special. You know, swing head jigs have become real popular in the last couple of years, and the reason? Because they flat catch fish. You know, when you have that head that's connected loosely to the hook, and you're dragging it on the bottom, especially around, you know, sparse grass or rocks and things like that, it really adds a ton of action to you. I have a system though that I think is really a little bit better than a lot of the stuff that's on the market, and I'll show you why. This is the Mustad FasTach football head right here, and what really I like about it is that it allows you to put any hook that you want onto it and change quickly. So if I want to go to a bigger bait and a bigger hook, I can quickly put that hook on there. So it's got this FasTach clip. It's very easy. All you got to do is just loop it around and you can put your hook on. The other thing is I think this hook right here, this is a Mustad Grip Pin hook. That offset hook, it's got that little keeper on there, holds that plastic in place. So when you're dragging this thing on the bottom, your plastic doesn't slide down like it does with a standard 90-degree offset wide gap hook. So these come in all sizes, from a 1/4 ounce all the way up to 1 ounce. So you got a weight that'll keep you on the bottom in any depth of water. And again, by having that option to be able to change hooks, if you want to put a big 10-inch worm on there, you can put a bigger hook on there. If you want to put a smaller crawfish bait or thing like that on there, you can use a smaller hook. So, and these originally were designed, you know, I mean, Tommy Biffle made it famous with the, you know, with his version. And, you know, since then, there's been a lot of baits and stuff that come out. This is a Strike King Rage Bug, and this is one of my favorites. It's got great appendages to it. It makes a lot of movement on the bottom. Looks a lot like a crawfish when you're dragging it out there on the bottom. That's a great choice. But what I've learned about this is that some of the baits you might not think about as being really good for it are fantastic. A straight tail finesse worm is stunning on this. The way that head bounces on the bottom with that hook that's allowed to free swing, it makes that worm do all kinds of crazy stuff. Another bait that I've caught a ton of fish on is put a swim bait on it. So don't think that you got to just use a crawfish imitating bait because you're bouncing this thing on the bottom. You know, it's got to be a craw or a rage bug or something. You can experiment with a lot of different baits. You know, this year at the Bass Fest tournament, my best bait was putting a 10-inch worm with a 6/0 hook on that 1 ounce head. It just makes a lot of commotion and it really changes the action. It's totally different than a Texas rig or a regular football head. So the way that I like to fish it is, you know, I'm going to tie it up right now. You know, I'm on a gravel bank right here. I've got a Strike King Menace. This is another great bait. So I mean, you can put any type of plastic on here and be effective with it. This has a nice small profile to it. I've got a 1/2 ounce head. You know, I'm fishing a bank right here that's shallower, 6, 8, 10 foot of water. So I'm going to just cast the thing out there. And the beauty of this is, instead of just working it like a jig where you just drag it along, and you can do that, what I like to do is I just put my rod tip down and I just basically slow reel it so that bait is just ticking along the bottom. I want it skipping those rocks. That's what gives it all that extra action. So I want to use enough weight on the head that I can keep good bottom contact for the depth. That's why we have everything from a 1/4 ounce all the way to a 1 ounce head. So you can fish everything from deep to shallow. Move that bait along pretty quick, and the bite, a lot of times, it'll almost go slack. You'll lose it, or you'll feel it just get a little bit heavy. That's when you want to just, you know, rear back and set the hook. I try to reel set it almost the same way I would with a tube fishing for smallmouth, but it is a deadly technique, and this rig right here has a ton of versatility to it. So try it. I think it'll really add a new element to your fishing.